Do you know those making an impact in your neighborhood? Maybe they're well known and established, or just getting started. Either way, let's chat. We'll be diving deep into their story, what fuels them, and how they help our community. Hi, I'm Krisha, host of Let's Chat. My goal is to connect those making an impact in the community with you, our listeners. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight, we're sitting down with local artist Loryn Spangler Jones. She's a mixed media artist and the owner of LSJ Studios, located on King Street. As an artist myself, I am so excited to talk with her tonight. It's going to be so good. So whenever I have my guests on, I do some pre-show research. And while conducting some research on Loryn, I found this phrase on her Facebook page, which I thought it's going to set the tone perfectly. It said, "Honey, I don't come with a shallow end. Swim at your own risk." Well, I'm here to say I've got my bathing suit on and I am ready to go. Welcome, Loryn, to the show.
I see why you wanted to hold off on telling me what quote it was.
I was like, that's so perfect. Oh my gosh, that was so great.
Yeah, and
Cheers.
That's my own words too, girl. And they are the truth. They are the truth. That's for sure.
I love it. Cheers. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Cheers to you.
Have
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing and fancy and so fancy and professional and all the things.
We try. We do try. So I was thinking that let's start off with those who don't know you. Let's kind of go back a little bit. So I want to know, what did you want to be when you grow up?
So originally, when I was really little, I wanted to be either a doctor or a lawyer. And that's what I went with. And I think I only went with those things because that's what everybody wanted to be back then.
Right.
And they were the things that made a lot of money and I guess made you successful.
Mm-hmm. Quote unquote.
Yes, exactly. And then ended up, I went to college. I lasted in college for about 5 minutes and majored in drugs and alcohol and got a degree in that. So I lasted in college for about 5 minutes, but while I was there, I was actually a creative writing major for a short period of time. And so that didn't last long. Sorry, I got distracted. That didn't last long. And then ended up I worked in the restaurant industry for about 15 years and then ended up in healthcare where I ran the endoscopy unit at Ephrata Community Hospital for 10 years and left that eventually to chase this. So it's kind of like a roundabout way of getting here. I didn't really know that I wanted to make art until I was in my early 20s.
That's good to know. It's kind of like one of my other questions. So now, and we're going to talk about, I want to talk to you about like identifying yourself as an artist. We'll get there, but so now we'll fast forward to now. So now Loryn has her studio. How long have you had your studio?
So I will be brick and mortar 5 years next month in March.
Yeah, cheers again.
Yes, cheers. And we're doing a big thing the entire month of March to celebrate. You know, we have to do it a little bit different this year, of course, because of COVID and whatnot, but I am celebrating the entire month of March. So that's a big accomplishment. You know, I think it's a big accomplishment for any small business, especially any small business living through a pandemic. And my industry is not an easy one for sure.
No. And I want to talk about the, how you survived COVID with your business in the studio and you've kept it going and that's fantastic. And I want you to so celebrate that when 5 years come up in March. And so you offer workshops and also some private classes too. And you have a really fun thing coming up this weekend, actually. Tell me about the event this weekend.
I do. So I am doing a virtual show, which pretty much everything I've been doing now for the last year has been virtual, where I will be opening a new body of work and it's called Love Letters. And it is a series of 12 small pieces that are my art mixed with my words. So I'm incorporating text into my paintings, which was not an easy thing to execute at all, because I feel like it's contraindicating in a lot of ways. Like the whole reason I make art is because it's hard for me to find the words to match those feelings. So when I am trying to find words to match those feelings and then put them with a painting, it's incredibly challenging for me. So anyway, this series, Love Letters, actually kind of stemmed from my anti-Valentine's Day stance. Even when I'm coupled up, it's never been a holiday that I've put a whole lot of anything into. I feel like it's very commercial. It's very Hallmark. I feel like, why do we need one day a year to celebrate love? Why aren't we celebrating love 365 days a year?
Exactly. Right? It should be every day, multiple times.
Yeah. So what I did then was I turned that concept, and of course, because I'm a cup half full kind of girl, I wanted to spin it into something positive. So this is a series of small works, and they are all individual love letters to the self. And I say the self because I think that anybody could relate to any of them. They aren't specific to just me, So, and I don't want to give them away. I mean, I want people to tune in on Saturday night to see what they say, but they are all my own words. And so I'm really, really excited.
So it's like visual poems, kind of.
It is. And I feel like they're really marketable. I feel like they're super approachable, and I'm doing prints in various forms, in addition to the originals as well. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully something for everybody.
That's good. That's a good event. That is a good thing to do. Yes, that's so exciting. Yeah, it's just to actually say that you have something going on the weekend, like even virtually, something to do is so nice and refreshing.
Gives me a reason to even doing this with you. It gave me a reason to actually care about what I look like today.
Yes, thank you. I put makeup on for you, and I was like, I feel like it's the first time I've ever worn makeup. Like,
right. I put makeup on for you, girl.
Aw, thanks. But it does. It felt good. It felt good to just get a little gussied up and have somewhere to go. So when we talked a little bit before about identifying yourself as an artist, I know it's something that I've always struggled with. So I'm a photographer. It's my form. I always say it's my formal training is in photography, and I would consider myself a photographer. But when people would say like, "Oh, you're an artist," I felt like artist was always, fine art. And so I've always kind of grappled with that identification. And then the phrase of, does your career, your career doesn't always have to define you. But I feel like as an artist, that is our career and it does define us. So what are your thoughts on identifying yourself as an artist, and does it identify you?
That's a great question. And, this is, I think for a lot of people, they get up in the morning and they go to work and then they come home, and they're almost two separate worlds for a lot of people. There really is no line for me between work and my life. And it's that old saying, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? Right?
Yeah.
I think it's both. I don't think that they're mutually exclusive at all. And, I am my work and my work is me. And, it's a double-edged sword for sure. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and, he had commented, he made a comment about how he envies how vulnerable I make myself and how easy that that appears and how transparent I am. And, I reminded him that with what I do, it takes a certain level of complete undoing of the self.
I was going to say, right? And some gusto.
I have to, I don't like to use the word ruin myself, but there is a certain level of undoing that I must go through in order to put myself back together and continually reinvent myself. And I do that through my work. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do you feel like you fully let that go? Like, do you feel like you fully tap into letting that, like, do you feel like there's still layers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like if that ever happens, then just bury me. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Then what's the point? And, it's funny, like, I think too, I've often heard people say, gosh, you make it look so easy. I do my time lapses of me painting or whatever. And, oh, you make it look so easy. And, the truth is, I mean, I've been making art now and I've been painting for over 25 years. It is harder now than it was even 5 years ago, because the truth is I have to dig deeper.
I was going to
Right?
say,
Like, I have to dig deeper. I have to work harder to get to those hidden corners of myself in order to be able to bring them out and put them down on canvas. So it's not an easy thing at all.
Yeah, that's so interesting because it kind of segues into my next question, which is like, how do you come up with a series that you create? Because I was looking at them. I mean, they're fantastic and not just blowing smoke up your ass, but like they're amazing. But I'm like, they're kind of random. She goes from elephants to birds to the I want to talk about your 2020 series. Like, where does it come from?
Well, it depends, honestly. Sometimes there's like, so Love Letters was definitely inspired from my angst with Valentine's Day and my anti-Valentine's Day stance, and, trying not to be a Debbie Downer and a negative, a negative Nelly about it and turn it into something positive. Sometimes it's inspired by my community or by my people that follow me. Perfect example is I actually posted a piece last week. So I will oftentimes work in bursts and do these like micro series.
They're cute.
But I had done this piece where sometimes they're just super random, and I call them transitional pieces because they aren't really connected to anything else that I've been doing. Right. So I did this fish, right? And I was really uncomfortable with it.
Really?
And I don't know. I just felt uncomfortable with it, which tells me right away it's a good piece of work.
Right. I know, but okay. So how does this fish trigger you?
Right. So I actually sat on it for 24 hours, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let me just post it and see what happens. And I mean, it was ridiculous. Well, then that inspired me. Then I ended up doing a micro series that I did a virtual pop-up yesterday. Just one day only. I did a virtual pop-up with like 5 other fish in the sea.
5 other fish in the sea.
So I guess a long way around to answer your question, my inspiration it comes from just about everywhere. It's very contextual. It depends on where I am. I try not to make it just about my pain. Right. I think that we need to change that conversation about artists. Like, we're not all, emo
and tragically
depressed. Thank you.
Let me just fill it in for you. Yes. I know.
Thank you.
Has there ever been a series that you really identified with or connected with?
I think all of them. I mean, sure, probably some more than others, but I think if you asked like my closest people, they would probably say I say the same thing every time. This is the best work I've ever done. It's so different than anything I've ever done. Yeah. Right. And, but it's true. And every time I say that, it's because it is different and it is something new. And I have learned from it. Trying to think if there was anything.
If there's one that just stood out in your mind.
I think for me, it's always going to be my figurative work that, I will absolutely connect to at the deepest level. It's also the hardest work that I do. And I've been watching the trend in my career the past several years where I usually end up only doing one figurative series a year anymore because of the emotional cover charge that comes with that for me. So I guess that would be the work that I connect to absolutely the strongest. It's also the hardest work that I do, for sure.
Well, and an
work.
Right. And an equally hard question. So I noticed, I'll let you take a drink if you want to take a sip right now, but I'll give you a little break to take some liquor. So you took a 7-year break, and this really spoke to me because photography has flowed in and out of my life a lot. And I know how I felt when I wasn't creating. So I really want to kind of dive deep on this one. And this might be my own personal therapy too. But how does it feel to not create?
It was awful. It was awful. And I think you're the first person, honestly, in my since I've been chasing this professionally and full time that's ever asked me that question. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And and I said to you the other day when we were chatting, like, there's nothing off limits. I'm an open book, to a fault sometimes, but
me too. Like, oh, snap, I shouldn't have said
that. I had started to play with art, like I said, in my early 20s, and fell in love with the process. And that's really what it is for me. It's the process, the creative process. But and knew even then that it was something that I wanted to chase full time, but I had no support. I had no support from my family. I remember giving paintings to my mom and dad for Christmas in my early 20s, and they threw them out. And well, they're sorry they did that now, because they'd be sitting on a mint.
Well,
but the point is, like, I got absolutely no support. So I did what every proper girl should do and got married and had babies. And I had 3 babies, and I was working full time, and I just had no time. I had no time for it. And, I was either pregnant or nursing for 6 years. I don't even know. I can't do the math. Like, it was ridiculous. I was just a baby factory for a long time. And then when I wasn't a baby factory, I was running around after babies, and was working full time at the hospital. And then I'll never forget the day my marriage started falling apart. I ended up in intensive outpatient therapy, going through childhood trauma and whatnot that I never even knew I had, and realized at that point that I needed to start making art again, and quit my job. I'm pretty sure that was the day we decided that we weren't going to be married anymore, when I quit my job and didn't even tell him. We have 3 children, cashed in my retirement, and I've been chasing it ever since. So it was okay for a while, because I was busy having babies. But when I stopped having babies, and then I was just running after the babies, I was no longer creating anything. Okay. And I couldn't breathe, Krisha. Like, I felt like I was suffocating. Like, I couldn't breathe. And it is why I exist. It is like, I can't imagine ever doing anything else. I can't. I don't know what that would even look like. It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good.
And that was hard for me too, because going back to the identity thing, when I had to stop for my daughter, and just, my marriage wasn't well either. And I did the found the 9-to-5 thing. I just basically told myself that this isn't an option. It's not going to provide you an income. You have to go do this. And the whole time I just was like, God, it just felt like bullshit. Like,
it's a conversation we need to change.
Yeah. Right? And I bought into it. Meanwhile, my ex, he continued to do his art. He still does. Like, he's never had to stop. But that's a whole other topic. But
it's still a male-dominated industry in a lot of ways.
Especially photography, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I found myself, it was like a cycle. I realized that, like, every 3 months I would just get irritated and grumpy and short. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I realized, you're not creating. There's this energy inside of you, and you're not creating. And it still happens now, even when I'm active. If I'm not shooting something for myself, like, I can still find that. So it took me a while to realize. But you know what? Every time it came back into my life, though, it felt better and stronger. And I felt like my work was improved too, which is good. I didn't go backwards.
100%, 100%, And, I think we go through these cycles, we go through the things we go through for whatever reason. And I believe that there is a reason, even if we don't necessarily see it. In fact, my professional development mentor, he has trained me now, instead of saying everything happens for a reason, it's everything happens for your benefit, which I can buy into, because that is immediately positive and optimistic. There's no room for anything negative with that. So anyway, I believe that everything happens for our benefit. And, we go, like, I think back, like, I wouldn't be the artist I am today having not gone through the experiences that I've gone through, because it's all, ammunition's not the right word. Weapons of mass creation.
So much better than destruction.
Yes. But it's
some destruction. But
it's material for me. Every experience I have, whether positive or negative, I turn that into art.
And I really want to talk about this time that I knew that time was going to fly by. I know you're going to have to, you're coming back again another time. I'm just letting you know.
I just looked at it. We have 10 minutes left.
We're fine.
I knew this was going to happen.
I know. You were censored and I wanted you to take us through that journey. Why? And how does that feel? How do you rise above that when something is?
Yeah, it was a tough moment. Again, in 2020 hindsight, it was probably one of the best things that could have ever happened to me in my career, especially locally. But I had 2 locations for 5 minutes. I was over in the Keppel building, right across the street here. I don't know where I am in this building,
diagonal,
but
it's diagonal. That's from the candy factory.
But I had I was set up in their common space, but I was set up and it was zoned retail as an art gallery. And I had shows and I sold work out of there like it was an art gallery. And I had a body of work hanging and it was called Collateral Candor. And it was a figurative series, all black and white. And still to this day, probably one of my most favorite bodies of work that I've ever done. And it had been hanging for several months. And then I got a phone call one day that residents were complaining that they felt like the work was too provocative. And it was the female figure. Go figure, you know. And, if I guarantee if it was Victoria's Secret models hanging on the walls, nobody would have said anything.
Right.
But, they wanted to know that I was given a choice that I could either take that work down and replace it with something less, and I quote, less provocative, safer, or I could pack my stuff essentially and go. And I was like, I'm out. Like, I don't need you. And, and it was awful. When I was in it, it was awful. And I'm so grateful for the support that I had because I had an entire team of people kind of working behind the scenes with me to help me with the public portion of it. Because I had to be very, very careful with the things that I was saying publicly. And, and it got to the point people were threatening to come down and boycott the entire building, which again was amazing. But then I was like, all right, we got to shut this down because I have friends that have retail stores in there. They had nothing to do with this. Like, don't hurt their businesses.
Yeah, it does affect
the love and the support. But so anyway, long story short, I just packed my stuff silently and,
So you stayed true to yourself during this.
Say that again?
You stayed true to yourself during this time of repression, which is commendable.
And I could have done what they said, hang the flowers,
right. Keep it safe, keep it pretty. Don't make anybody uncomfortable.
Don't challenge anybody.
Heaven forbid.
Honestly. And, my thing has always been, I would rather you hate a piece of my work than be completely apathetic towards it. Because even in that hatred of my work, I still win because I've made you feel something. Right. And guess what? That's your shit. I worked mine out and it's on canvas. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're uncomfortable with, that's on you, bro. But now let's have a conversation about that instead of just taking it away and making it go away,
Oh man.
Yeah. And then so one little caveat to that story. So over in my studio on King Street, I have a client who's been a very, very good client of mine for years, and very good friend of mine. She ended up, so there was one piece left, one of the pieces that was left over from that series, and it was a big one on canvas. I had taken like fragile stickers from the post office and put them on the boobs and the vagina and covered it up. And I probably took a picture of it and posted it or something, and this client saw it and she's like, I have to have that. And I want that with the stickers on it. So she purchased it. But the deal was it stays with me and it goes wherever I go as a constant reminder of what that situation and that experience did for me.
I just had a fantastic idea.
Tell me.
You should project that massive for your 5-year.
Where though?
I don't know, but we got to figure this out.
Building. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean, no.
I'm just kidding. I don't even have access to that kind of.
Like it needs to. You're like, you know what I mean?
Amazing, wouldn't it?
That
would be something. Let's think on that.
I will help you devise that one.
Right. That would be something.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? Arrest me?
Right. You're projecting and it's art.
It's painting. It's painting, people.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been, sorry. I just had that epiphany while we were.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Telus used to have that great thing where they would project on the side of the building. That was always fun. Yeah. So yeah, that would be something. I don't know. We have to think about that. Talk about that behind the scenes a little bit.
I'm so glad that client is amazing. I'm so glad.
He's something else. I'll tell you.
It is awesome.
So the piece hangs outside my studio, and there's a plaque that goes with it that has the whole story. And yeah. And the stickers, the post office stickers, are still on there.
Love it. All Madonna out style.
Right.
Justify my love. No, I was kidding. Oh, so with the pandemic, I mean, all right, we'll go to the there's just so much I could talk to you about. But pandemic, so how did you rise during the time of adversity and what keeps you going there?
I pivot after pivot after pivot after pivot, hustle. I mean, I have my assistant who handles my website, my social media, also one of my dearest, closest, bestest friends. She's been working with me for years, does a lot of my administrative stuff. Anyway, a lot of trial and error with streaming live and, turning all of my shows into virtual shows and, getting a shop up on my website where I could just sell work off of my website. And
so I just want to clarify, sorry not to interrupt you, but so with the virtual show, you're showing the piece and then they go online and purchase, correct?
So what happens is I stream live. I always do it through Facebook only because I get the most foot traffic on that page.
Yeah.
And so it's usually for an hour and I'll stream live maybe 3 or 4 times in that hour, never for the full hour straight because I'll lose my audience.
Right.
And then, I will go take the phone or take my phone or my iPad around and talk about the individual pieces of work that are hung. Like I hang the gallery like I would if somebody was
an art show.
Exactly. And then we just send people over to the website where you can see a high res image of each individual piece and you can make the purchase right there. But it's great. The streaming live is great because it allows you to interact. I can interact with my audience a little bit. And if people have questions about particular paintings, I'm able to kind of get into that a little bit with them. So it's been working. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're still around.
I am too.
Support you. Any advice for future artists?
Just make art. Just get up, and whether it's singing, whether it's writing, whether it's taking pictures, whether it's dance, if you're a chef, I don't care. Just do it. And if you have a really bad day and you want to quit that day, but get up the next day and start all over again. Because I promise you, in the words of one of my biggest heroes, Elizabeth Gilbert, it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
I love that. I used to, real quick, back in high school, I would put on my dad's records and paint in the garage. And all by myself on a Friday night, like high school, middle school, high school years. And I just keep thinking about that recently. I'm like, that was so much fun. And my parents were like, yeah, I put on my dad's Jimi Hendrix album and
oh, wow. Right?
Turn the music up really, really loud. Pour a glass of wine, champagne.
Right. I need to
poison.
need to do that.
Everybody does.
Absolutely. Well, my dear, our time is about up.
This so fast. Oh my gosh.
I know. It was like 5 minutes, I swear. You're coming back because I didn't even get to ask you.
This was amazing, and you were amazing, and I hope I stayed on track. I don't know. I kind of like leave my body when I'm doing this, so I don't even really know what happened.
What? A creative that doesn't focus? What?
I know, right? All over the place.
Yes. Thank you, Loryn, so much. Have a fantastic weekend. Everybody tune in to Loryn's show this weekend, this Saturday.
Yes.
7, I think it was.
7 to 8.
Oh, 7 to 8. Yep. 7 to 8.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. Keep Lancaster going.
Thank you.
Let's Chat is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. You can find the show streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And you can subscribe to the audio version anywhere you get your podcasts.
Krisha Martzel is a photographer who believes in the power of women, the power of seeing yourself in a true, authentic, beautiful way through boudoir photography. She's the owner of Krisha Lynn Photography, a daily wearer of the color black, foodie, and podcast lover.
Let's Chat is produced by the Candy Factory Collective at the Candy Factory Co-working Campus in Lancaster, PA. Production support by Anna Tran, administrative support by Ann Kirby, Ariana Henderson, Robert Diggs, and Jason Mundoff. Notes and links can be found on the show post at our website, candyfactorycollective.com. Candy Factory. Collective.